When we went from middle school to high school, that was great because the middle school teacher who had his IEP went with us to meet with the high school IEP team. So that was great because she knew my son. She had worked with him for, I think it was 2 years for middle school at that time where he went. So she knew ins and outs and et cetera. And when we went to the high school, the teacher said, well, our students don't go out of our classroom. They stay here. And then the typical students come in and, assist them with stuff. And I looked at the teacher, the middle school teacher, like, you want to handle this or you want me to do it? And, she said, well, actually, Daniel has been taking classes with typical students when he was in middle school. And, at first needed a parent to accompany him and, sit with him in class, et cetera. But after that, he goes on his own. And the head teacher at the time said, well, I don't know if we can do that. And I let it sit. And then his middle school teacher said, well, it would really be in Daniel's best interest and it would really be appropriate for him because he is capable of, following a routine, going to a different building, getting changed for phys ed. He can do all those types of things. So for him to not have that opportunity in high school would really be setting him back. And I'm like, yes, you're exactly right. So I think it's those things. And one teacher at the end of the year, she was retiring. She said, you are absolutely right to do what you wanted for your son. And I said, well, thank you. I like to think so, that I don't do anything that's going to hurt him or harm him. When she said, yes. And when he was in kindergarten, it was not a great experience. He was the first child with an intellectual disability at the elementary school, which, we're talking the 2000s, but anyway, I digress. And the teacher really didn't want him there. And I'm not sure how the principal felt about having him there, but his preschool team said, this is so appropriate for him. This would be really good for him. Now, it wasn't a great year, but some of that was because the teacher didn't have enough support staff in her classroom, and so that can make or break any good IEP or IFSP if you don't have that support so that the teacher can go, from students to student and work with them. It's really set up for failure. So that wasn't great. I mean, we struggled, but and at the end of the day, then he changed schools and didn't continue elementary school at his home school because there was another program that was better for him at another school. And so we went there, and the speech language pathologist was the one who said, oh, I think this would be a good program. It was a program when with kids who were deaf or hard of hearing went to for elementary school. So, okay, so we go there, and she and I are walking up together, and she said, I didn't tell him about your son's disability. I said, oh, you were bad. She goes, well, as far as they know, it's because of hearing. And she said, and that's why this program is really better for him, because you get immersed in language, and, they can get the ends and the beginning of words and some of those things that some of our friends miss who are either hearing impaired or deaf and wear a hearing aid in the other ear. And he had a great experience there. And he was with, he was with typical kids for many of his class, but for like the language part, he was, worked one-on-one with the deaf educator, and that was great. I always tell people when I talk about my son, I say he is the success that he is today because he had a great public school education. Those school employees, they taught him how to zip up, a smock, how to zip up pants. They taught him how to button. You button this. They taught him how to tie. That's tying shoes, tying an apron. And I always put everything around learning. What if he works in a place where he has to wear an apron? He's got to know how to tie. What if he works in a place where you have to put a smock on and it's buttoned? You can't wear T-shirts, at every job. He has to learn how to do that. He has to learn what if there's a zipper on, a smock. that you have to, or whatever, a top that you have to wear. He has to know how to do that, and he got all of those. I'll say manual kind of education in from his OT and his OT and PT. And again, that was through the public school district, because he was not going to learn from us how to tie shoes, etc. My husband and I are both left-handed. He is not, so that's a whole recipe for, he looks at something and it looks different the way we're doing it. And, well, okay, you need to do it how 90% of the world, learn how 90% of the world does those things. So great public education.